Welcome to Running Stronger. My name is Will France, and I'm a running coach and a strength coach. And this episode is all about how to gauge the intensity in the gym in order to make progress. Far too often, I see people struggling to make progress in the gym, and it's just because they're not quite working hard enough or taking an exercise far enough, I guess is probably a better way to phrase it, because they are working really hard. And the muscle feels really bad. Unfortunately, sometimes, especially with certain exercises, the sensation in the muscle or the burn is not always a good representation of how close we are taking that exercise to failure. So if you want a demo of this, I have a video, or be posting a video as this drops onto YouTube, and it will give you a demonstration of me doing an exercise in which a lot of people just don't push it quite far enough to create the progress they want. And you'll see where it really starts to feel unpleasant for me. And then when actual failure happens and like the couple reps before that and what that might look like. And if that's helpful for you, there's a video on there. If not, no worries. I talk about it all through here and try to describe it as best as I can. But let's look at this and figure out why sensation might not be the most helpful cue when we're looking to make progress in terms of building muscle and building bone. If the last rep in your set looks basically the exact same as the first rep in your set, then it's very likely we're not making a ton of changes in terms of developing like strength or muscle or bone. This is not necessarily true if we're talking about something like power. I think most box jumps should probably look the same. I also don't tend to enjoy taking box jumps to failure because I think it's a great way to fall into a box and hurt yourself. But if we're looking at creating strength or muscle or bone, the reasons that most people are in the gym, then we really need to have the last rep probably look a lot different than the first one in terms of speed at which it's moving or form and execution. And this is not to say don't be safe. This is just to say that we probably need the last rep to actually look difficult rather than just feel difficult. And I'm going to use a demo here of like dumbbell lateral raise because it's super easy and I can do it in this room. I would actually love to use a leg extension as an example here, but it's in the middle of a crowded gym and the like background noise would just be horrendous. So if we're looking at a lateral raise, I'm just going to start doing them with this weight. This is fairly light for me, and we'll see exactly when it feels unpleasant versus when it starts to look different versus how many I can actually do. And I'm not going to do a very good job of keeping track or keeping count here, but I'll at least have a ballpark, and that's why you're going to see my fingers go up if you're watching this on video. So right now we're in the ballpark of 10, and everything looks the same. I can tell you it starts to feel unpleasant, right? Like I can feel a ton of muscle engagement in my medial deltoid. I can feel a ton of burning. I can feel this sensation of hydrogen ions increasing, of unpleasantness, but we're not really even close to failure. We're still moving the exact same. And in fact, right around this point, I've probably done almost double from when I first said it felt bad. Right now we're somewhere in the 20 to 25 range. We're going to call this one 25 just for the sake of argument. That one moved a little bit slower. That moved a little bit slower still. And now we're starting to fail to get to height. And now I really can't pull it up. So we did somewhere in the realm of 25 to 30 reps of that lateral raise. It felt unpleasant at rep 10. And this is why when we talk about the burn or sensation or whatever, it's not always a good marker of progress. It can be helpful. It can be a useful thing that we can use to gauge output or work or whatever. But a lot of the time, especially in movements where it's most difficult at its shortest position, the muscle's shortest position, I'll get back to that in half a second, then a lot of the times sensation just isn't going to be a good marker. So when we look at stuff in its shortest position, that'd be like this movement of the deltoid, right? Like I have My deltoid comes from here, up and across. Right now, it's in its longest position as I kind of reach across my body, and you never actually need to do this for a lateral raise, but just for sake of argument. And then shortest is going to be somewhere around here at the side. Anything farther than that, and I'm getting my scapula, my shoulder blade is doing a lot to like bring that up over my head, right? So when we're looking at abduction, it's going to be just above parallel, and that's when the deltoid is going to be at its shortest position. And in movements where the hardest part, like here, the weight is out here, the muscle's in its shortest position, and I have a ton of sensation then, that sensation isn't necessarily going to be a good indicator of whether I'm close to failure or not. And we need to take an exercise within like 2, 3, 4 reps of failure, well, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 reps of failure, in order for it to start to create changes in strength and muscle and bone, etc. So when we have these conversations, like you'll see things on the internet, like reps from like 5 to 30, can all make changes in hypertrophy, which means they can probably all make changes in bone health, because we know that one of the things that's really like pushing that bone density is the pull of the muscle, or that like hypertrophic kind of response. So if we know that we have to get that close to failure to really create these tissue changes, then when something feels burny at like a third of the reps that it took to bring to failure, that sensation just isn't a good marker. I see this a lot in the leg extension too, and this is, again, because it feels real bad because it is a shortened muscle position, but a lot of people won't even get close to failure, right? Again, quad, shortened muscle position. Most of them attach on this upper part of your femur. One of them goes across your hip and attaches up here on your pelvis. So if we're out here, already pretty short, and then at the top, where it's hardest, quad's about as short as it's going to get. And again, that is going to create a ton of sensation, but it is often not going, but that sensation is often not going to correlate with how close we are to actual failure. I will have people start to like complain about the leg press on rep 7, and then we proceed to do 17. And that means that if you weren't there pushing them, or they don't really know how to push themselves yet in the gym, you're not really going to create a ton of that progress. This is the same thing for a hip thrust. Hip thrust is somebody's going to argue with this, but it's really a shortened position movement for the glute, because at the top, the hardest part, the glute is it's the shortest position it can possibly get. And a lot of the time, you're going to see like the abdomen or core fail first before you see the glute fail. But even if that's not the case, you often see people like quit or give it a rest because they have a ton of sensation in their glutes, even if they're not really that close to failure. You'd see the same thing when we're looking at something like a kickback, like a glute kickback. Driving here, glute is about as short as it's going to get. I can feel a ton of sensation against no weight here, but it's not actually going to create a big stimulus unless I bring it close to failure. So we have to understand the difference between sensation and then output, and really push those exercises close to failure, even if they feel pretty bad when we're pretty far away from failure.